Yo, what is going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops, and today we are hopping right back into the top 50 list in NBA history. Today we got Dirk Nowitzki, also known as the German Jesus. Now, where do I got him on my all-time list? I got him ranked at number 20. But before we hop into Dirk, gonna need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, comment down below your thoughts on Dirk, your thoughts on my thoughts on Dirk, or your thoughts on anything. I don't know, shapes. Just feel free to comment down below. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So Dirk Nowitzki over his career was a 14-time NBA All-Star. This includes every year from 2002 until 2012, 2014, 2015, and then also 2019. Now, I get it that the last year, it was kind of like the NBA honoring him and Dwayne Wade. So regardless, still about 13-time NBA All-Star. He made All-NBA teams 12 times, including first-team All-NBA 4 times from 2005 to 2007, as well as 2009. He made All-NBA second team in 2002, 2003, 2008, 2010, and 2011, and he was All-NBA third team in 2001, 2004, and 2012. In fact, he even made the 50-40-90 club once in 2007, and added that 2007 season, he was the league's MVP. And in terms of 2011 was when he won his NBA championship and was named the Finals MVP. Now, over the course of his career, Dirk received MVP shares in 12 different seasons, 9 of which he was a top 10 finisher, and 3 of which he was actually a top 3 finisher every year from 2004 to 2007. And the last of those 3 years was when he actually won MVP. In terms of some all-time stats, a 20.7 point per game average, good for 49th all-time. 57.7% true shooting, good for 69th all-time. A 22.4 PER, good for 31st in history. 206.3 win shares, good for 8th all-time. 143.8 offensive win shares, good for 6th in history. 62.6 defensive win shares, good for 25th all-time. 4.5 box plus minus is good for 31st all-time. A 4.2 offensive box plus minus is good for 23rd in NBA history. And an 84.8 VORP rating is good for 9th in NBA history as well. Now let's hop over from what he did in the regular season and rather check out playoff Dirk. Now when it comes to the postseason, statistically speaking, Dirk has a bit of an improvement. His per game numbers are pretty much up across the board, both in general and in his prime years compared to the regular season, along with a higher BPM and PER in the playoffs as well. And also his true shooting percentage stays equivalent to that of the regular season, which is very impressive since not a lot of players are able to keep that same efficiency or even improve when it comes to the playoffs. His 25.3 points per game ranks him 18th in NBA history, while his 10 rebounds per game puts him 49th all time. But in terms of 20 point per game playoff series, he has done this in 24 of 27 series in his career, while averaging over 10 rebounds per game in 13 of 27 playoff series. And he has also had 3 series where he shot 50-40-90 splits from the field. But to even add to that, he averaged better than 50-50-90 splits in all 3 of these instances. Also, in terms of the 20 point per game playoff series, he even did that in his last series in 2016, just to show how dominant he was over the course of his whole playoff career. He also managed 4 30-point per game playoff series in his career as well. Now, overall, they were a consistent playoff team starting in 2001, but Dirk couldn't find much success until about 2003 in the Western Conference Finals against the Spurs. Now, this series was actually tied 1-1, and the Spurs were only up 3 going into the fourth quarter when Dirk injured his knee and ultimately would miss the rest of the series, while the Spurs would win in 6. This is a great series going up until the injury, and if Dallas moved on, they likely would have been champions, and this also would have gave Steve Nash a championship. They wouldn't get revenge on the Spurs until 2006, when in a 7-game series and complete battle with Dirk and Duncan, it was Dirk who came out on top this time. Add in Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Jason Terry, Josh Howard, and Jerry Stackhouse, and there were 7 players in this series that averaged over 16 points per game, which is just crazy. In the finals, though, after a 2-0 lead, Dirk and the Mavericks essentially choked. Dirk in games 3 to 6 averaged about 24 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game, which doesn't sound that bad, but then he had 39, 22, 87 splits and lost 4 straight games to ultimately blow his chance at the championship. But this window seemed just as good the next year, with Dallas being a 67-15 first seed and Dirk as the league MVP. But this moment was even worse for Dirk. I mean, he averaged 19.7 points per game, 11.3 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, 1.8 steals per game, 1.3 blocks per game on 38, 21, 84 splits in the first round series against the 8-seeded Warriors, and he was straight up bad in most of the fourth quarters this series. He was straight up outplayed by Baron Davis and Steven Jackson, which those guys aren't bad, but if you're a top 50 player ever, how is that happening? And Josh Howard was the best Maverick this series. And Dirk would never have a series this poor again in his career, but were his chances to win over? And the answer is no. Because in 2011, after taking down Portland with Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge in round 1, they would go on to sweep Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, who were a 2-time defending champion. Dirk had unreal efficiency and was by far the best player in this series, and then carried that momentum past the Thunder, led by Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, and into the NBA Finals. Now, statistically speaking, the Lakers and Thunder series were not only some of the toughest teams that Dirk's ever played in the playoffs, but also some of his most efficient and best series performances at an age of 32 while going 8-1 in those two series, which is just insane to think of. He completely dominated both teams. And in the NBA Finals, I think we all know what happened. Dirk Nowitzki becomes the 2011 NBA champion and NBA Finals MVP, cementing his legacy with a ring, and in great fashion too. Him and the Mavericks made the whole world critique a player as great as LeBron James to this day. He got revenge on Dwayne Wade from 2006, and Chris Bosh was nice, but he couldn't stop Dirk. And after that, Dirk's playoff career consisted of first-round exits, and to this day, Dallas is still trying to break that spell behind Luka Doncic. Although he still averaged about 21 points per game and 7 rebounds per game on decent efficiency for his next 4 playoff runs, including the 2014 year where they were the only team that challenged the NBA champion Spurs to a 7-game series, and they even led 2-1 at one point. That was after a chaotic Vince Carter game winner in Game 3. But when we talk about Dirk Nowitzki overall, I would have to say that he is properly rated. I mean, top 20 all time, I believe it's a fair assessment. He definitely wasn't the perfect NBA player because he had his meltdowns, like in 2006 in the finals and the 2007 first round, which still probably is the most upsetting 8-seed series win in NBA history, because the 2 before that were a best-of-5 series, with one even being in the lockout year. The Spurs-Grizzlies in 2011 one was pretty wild, but I think the discrepancy of the 2 teams in the regular season was significantly smaller. And then the 2012 Bulls-Sixers, I mean, that one's literally a Mickey Mouse. If Rose and Noah stay healthy, we win that series. But I'm not going to go further into that because it'll bring me more sad times as a Bulls fan. I may be partially biased toward Dirk Nowitzki, considering he's one of my top 5 favorite players of all time and my favorite power forward of all time. But I do believe he is top 3 for his position in history and top 20, with the potential to be ranked anywhere from 15 to 25. Maybe 15 exactly is a bit crazy, but 18 to 25 isn't bad. Outside of KG, there isn't really anyone at his position that I would have ranked pretty close to him, and opposite positions, ranking them all is difficult. And even Dirk and KG can be seen as an either-or argument as well, so he can be versatile when it comes to his placement. And speaking of versatility, that's also Dirk's ability to stretch the floor. I mean, nowadays, guys like Karl Anthony Towns or Kevin Durant or Miles Turner are able to stretch the floor to the three-point line, and that's essentially the norm for big men. But Dirk kind of changed the league in that sense for big men. You know, there was no 7-footer taking 3-pointers like him before him. Maybe a prime overseas Arvydas Sabonis, but outside of that, there really isn't much else to say in terms of who originated it. And it's only fitting for the creator to be nicknamed the German Jesus. And I know a lot of people talk about his 2011 championship, but I believe they should. Honestly, it kind of has been overshadowed recently, and you gotta remember that Dirk's legacy was kind of in now or never mode, and he lost a lot of key players from his prime days, but never left to form a super team either, like LeBron in 2010 or Kevin Durant in 2016. So in my opinion, I have never seen a championship won that took more difficulty and was simply more amazing than the Mavericks in 2011. They played 6 stars in their peak, and of everyone in their best form would be probably 10 Hall of Famers. That's including like if Brandon Roy never got hurt, except in that series, of course, he was, and in Game 4, he even torched the Mavericks. But with him, Aldridge, Kobe, Powell, KD, Russ, Harden, Bosh, Wade, and LeBron, and the manner of doing so without even a Game 7 necessary, going 16 14-5 in the whole playoffs. I mean, they just dominated everyone. And it was like they were substantially better, and that was the most amazing part, because in the regular season, it didn't really seem like that. So that's why I think Dirk deserves a ton of praise for winning the most impressive single championship ever. But guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Dirk Nowitzki. Do you think maybe that 2011 championship kind of overrates him a little bit, or do you think that he is still a bit underrated? But I hope you all enjoy. Thank you guys for watching, and I think that's going to do it for me. So I'm out. Peace.